Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai Bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the top 5 reasons why people fail with their martial arts training. Today is an absolutely beautiful day, and I wanted to go for a walk, and this particular topic has been on my head for the last couple days, so I thought I would go for a walk and share my thoughts on this particular topic with all of you. Now, before we begin, I always give a shout out to all of my new viewers. So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, again, my name is Christa Jacobson. I am the headmistress of the Budo, which means School of the Warrior Way. We teach koryu Ninjutsu and koryu Bujutsu, so the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. This organization does have other areas of focus, such as reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, concealed carry, survival skills, martial arts theory, thought and philosophy, martial arts conditioning. If any of those topics interest you at all, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell. That way you guys can keep up with everything that we're doing. I do post 2 to 3 videos a week. So if you guys are interested in those topics, please subscribe, click the bell, and keep up with what we're doing, okay? Right, so the topic today is going to be the top 5 reasons why students fail with their martial arts training. Now, of course, I'm going to be speaking from my perspective and sharing my thoughts on this particular topic. I'm sure different teachers of different arts would give you their top 5 reasons why, students fail at whatever martial art it is that they're teaching. Here, because of the arts that we teach and because of the way that I teach, because I'm very intense, we do have physical requirements and things like that, where a lot of other schools really don't have physical fitness requirements. It's definitely different than the vast majority of other martial arts schools. And it's not just here because we have the Hanbu dojo, but we also have other dojos where students go and train. But we also have the online dojo, and students can train in our online ninjutsu dojo and train that way. It doesn't matter whether someone is training inside a physical dojo or someone is training in the online dojo. These are the top 5 reasons why people fail. This is why students fail with their martial arts training. And these are the same 5. It may be slightly different because someone's a dojo student compared to an online student, but nonetheless, they're still the top 5 reasons why students fail with their training. I think the majority of martial art teachers would tell you that the vast majority of people who start their training never get to be a black belt. And the vast majority of people who get black belt never get 2nd degree black belt. So there is always this reason why someone starts something and then they don't follow it through, right? And there's a reason why they get interested with something and then they just fall off and they don't ever follow through. Okay, so number 1, lack of discipline. Students join the Budo, whether it's at one of our dojos, the Hanbu dojo, the online ninjutsu dojo. They join, they want to start their training, but they have a lack of discipline. What that means is they don't do what they need to do when they need to do it. They come up with excuses on why they can't do it. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. They don't have any discipline. They're not making something a priority in their life. Martial arts teaches so much, and there's so many things that are involved that are very dynamic and intricate. And if you don't make martial arts training a priority, you're not going to be that successful. And the only way you can make that a priority and stick to it is have discipline. I've said this a ton, and I'm going to say it again here, is there are 7 days in a week. If you want to see some sort of a result with your martial arts training, you have to train more days than on than off. You want to lose weight, so you're going to diet. If you diet, 2 days a week, but you don't diet 5 days a week, the chances of you losing weight is going to be very slim. Let's say that because you're eating whatever you want more than you're dieting, right? It's kind of like people say, well, I want to run a triathlon. Well, if they only train 1 day a week for the triathlon, and then they don't train at all for 6 days a week, the chances of them being able to effectively run the triathlon is pretty slim. You have to train more days on than days off. So in the beginning, I always tell students, you need to train at least 4 days a week with the martial arts. That way you can see a result. Now, that doesn't mean in some instances, because of time requirements, time restraints, whatever they do for a profession, not all students can get to the dojo 4 days a week. Maybe they can only come to the dojo 2 days a week. Well, then they need to find 2 other days a week on their own to get in their training, right? So when I say you got to train so much, I'm not meaning at the physical dojo. You just have to train, right? So to see results at a bare minimum is 4 days a week. That's the minimum, right? And you have to make that a priority so that you can see results with your training. And the only way to do that is discipline. You know, whether that means waking up a little bit early to get in your workouts, setting aside a certain amount of time after your work or during your lunch break at work, or whatever it is, you're gonna have to find the time and discipline yourself to saying, this is what I'm gonna do at this time. I've made a video before about time and how people can, they don't use their time wisely. Like if you take 24 hours a day times 7 days a week, you get X amount of hours. Well, if you take that X amount of hours and then you subtract 40 hours a week from working, you get again X amount of hours. And then if you take that what's left and you take, you know, you sleep 8 hours a day times 7 days a week, well now you got 56 hours that you're sleeping, and you subtract 56 from that number, well you still got X amount of hours. And then if you say, well, you know, I've got to commute to work or whatever, I got 30 minutes, got to drive 30 minutes to work, 30 minutes back or whatever it is, okay, so you give an hour a day for commute, so you subtract 7 from that number, you still have time. If you say, well, I gotta eat, okay, well, we give you an hour to put food in your mouth, take another 7 hours off of it, you still have time. You say, well, I gotta go to the bathroom during the day, okay, so let's give you a whole hour a day for you to go, you know, go to the bathroom. You take another 7 hours a week off of that, you still got time. There's no way that you can't sit there and tell me that you don't have 4 hours to train. There's the only reason people don't train is because they're not disciplining themselves to do what they need to do when they do it. The more that you force yourself to do something and it becomes a habit, the easier it is. It's always different, or excuse me, it's always difficult when you have to change your normal routine. But to better yourself, there has to be change. If you do not change, you will never be more successful. You're going to stay where you are. If you're happy with where you are, fine. If you're not happy with where you are and you want to attain a black belt, you want to get in better shape, you want to do this, you have to change. To change means you have to change your routine. And that routine needs to have discipline that will promote the change and success that you're looking for. So the number one thing, people get inspired by watching my videos and they see the Ninjutsu videos and Bujutsu videos and the swordsmanship and all that kind of stuff and the Kempo and Jujitsu, and they see all these things and they get inspired and they like my videos on YouTube. So out of that inspiration, they join, whether it's an online dojo or otherwise, and then they never stick with it because they don't have any discipline. So I would say number one is self-discipline, without a doubt. That's the number one reason why people fail. They're not disciplined, and they don't want to be disciplined, and they don't want to do what it takes to be disciplined. Number two, lack of motivation. Sometimes, and this goes with number one, but discipline is much different than motivation. Discipline is doing what you need to do when you need to do it and always doing that. Motivation is having like a little fire behind it, like there's a drive behind it. So it's kind of like if I tell one of my daughters, okay, you have to, you know, do the dishes every day. That's part of your weekly chores. When supper's over, you got to do the dishes. So no matter what, she does the dishes, right? But she doesn't do the dishes with zest and gusto and all this positivity, and she's focused on making sure that she gets everything super clean. She does the dishes. There's no motivation behind it. She doesn't really want to do it, but she does it because it's her chores. That makes sense? So there are people that's like, yeah, I work out 3 days a week. Well, what do you do? I do this and this and this. So they are disciplined in the sense where they've added the workouts, and they're disciplined in the sense of they've now implemented a certain time for the workouts and the training, but they don't do it with any motivation. They don't do it with any fire. They don't do it with any yearning of pushing themselves to be better than what they are. They're going through the motions. And when you go through the motions, you're not pushing that boundary. And if you don't push that boundary, you're not going to get better. The idea behind a workout is that you push yourself outside of your normal boundaries, right? You can't, doing a work in is where you work inside your normal threshold. So if you're not getting sore, you're not getting winded, you're not pushing yourself, that isn't a workout, that's a work in. You're doing it inside your ability. The idea behind a workout is to work outside of that box, outside of that boundary line, outside of, you know, the realm of what you think you can do. You push the envelope and you become better. So the number 2 reason why the majority of people quit is because they have a lack of motivation. Number 3 is the lack of conditioning. I would bet you easily 90% plus of the people who join the Budo Ryukai, whether it's at the Hanbu dojo, a physical dojo, the online dojo, 90% of the people who quit, it always comes down to conditioning. They don't want to do the conditioning that we require here. They don't want to get in shape. I'll just tell you guys straight up, I am not going to work with people that don't want to bust their ass and get in shape. I don't want to take my time to give something that I am so dedicated about to some lazy ass that can't even push themselves to get in shape. I don't want to dedicate myself to somebody who's weak and doesn't feel the need to push themselves to be better. I want to teach people who want to be stronger. I want to teach people who want to be better. Now, of course, the workouts at white belt ain't the same as the workouts at yellow belt or orange belt or purple belt or blue belt. They get harder as you go up. But still, the requirements is showing that you want to get in shape. And easily 90% across the board, they can't hack it. They don't want to do the bag work. They don't want to do the weight training. They don't want to do the conditioning and all that other kind of stuff that falls under Hojo and Do. Like, they just don't want to do it. So I would say that's the number 1 reason why people quit. But all 5 of these are the 5 reasons why they fail, because these 5 reasons is why you see people, and it doesn't matter the level. Like, some people can get halfway to black belt or even get close to brown belt and still have one of these 5 issues on one side or the other, and it's why they just fail. And it's even when people are in the black belt ranks, when they quit and when they fail and when they leave, it's one of these 5 reasons. At least here at the Budo Ryukai. Maybe other organizations are different, but this is just the way it is here. So conditioning is a big thing, and people just simply are very lazy. They don't want to work out. They don't want to get in shape. They don't want to be stronger. Number 4, lack of kata. And what I mean by this is they don't want to actually dedicate themselves to the teachings of what's on the scroll. They don't want to train themselves with the form. It's like when someone does a kata for their exam or a review, or maybe in the online dojo they send in a review and I say, hey, I watched your kata. You did this, this, and this. Don't forget you got to do this, this, this. You missed this kamae, or you got to step here, or something like that. For some reason, people just get really like offended when you try to critique them. And that's another thing. It's like, that's part of the training. You're learning techniques, and then it's my job to critique and polish and refine your skill set so that you could be good. But so many times people just don't want to learn the kata. You know, there's like, well, you know, I just want to punch and kick. Well, then you don't need to be in this organization. If the only thing you want to do is punch and kick, then there are other organizations that will suit your needs. Here, we're teaching traditional Japanese martial arts, so you have to learn the kata. And I think that's one thing that separates us from other Ninpo organizations. Like some Ninpo organizations, they kind of focus more on the folk tales and the kudins, and they believe in like lineage charts and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Like all the, you know, nothing that really has any foot in reality, you know, kind of thing, right? And then you have other people that, you know, they focus more on whatever. Here, I would say the strong focus is on the kata, preserving the kata. There's not one kata in our 7 traditions that I created. I am teaching the kata that I learned to my students and the people in this organization. The Budo Ryukai literally means School of the Warrior Way, and I'm teaching, you know, my journey of the arts to the people who would like to learn these ancient arts of Ninjutsu and Bujutsu. So kata is a big thing here. We hang our hat on kata. We are here to preserve the kata and to preserve the teachings and to preserve what's written down for the next generation. And I would say that, you know, if you can't do kata and you can't do the techniques like we want them to be done, probably not going to be successful here. Number 5, lack of study. Now what this means is they don't want to study the history and tradition of what it is that we do. Now this is a big thing within the Budo because we hang our hat on history and tradition. So when someone's testing here at the Budo, there are 3 stages to every test. So it's like mind, body, spirit, so to speak, right? So you have the physical exam, which is the hojo-endo, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, the whatever calisthenics you got to do, whatever bag work you got to do, whatever sparring you got to do, whatever weight training you got to do. You have the physical requirements, right? So once you get done with that, that's stage 1. Once you get done with that stage, you move to the second stage, and that's the mind. You're gonna display and demonstrate all the skills that you have learned. It's your mind. So as you're doing the techniques, you go through all the kata that's required, all the waza that's required, etc., and you're going to demonstrate these particular skills. The third stage, right, of testing is the spirit, right? We call it bushiki. Or bushiki means like samurai spirit, right, or warrior spirit. And this is the history and tradition. Now, the bushiki or that type of thing, the warrior spirit, that's not religion. You guys can be whatever religion you want. I'm never going to ask you guys to change your religion or your religious study or whatever your religious belief is. The samurai spirit is you know how we all have a spirit inside, and that we exude that in everything that we do. Some people they're really powerful and strong, and their spirit is strong, and some people, their spirit's really weak and timid. It's the development of that spirit. We call that warrior spirit, bushiki. In the beginning, up until black belt, you have to, the reality is you're trying to have a relationship with the arts. So, in getting a good relationship with the arts, you want to learn the history and the tradition and the kuden and all the things that goes along with the different lessons and different avenues of training within the school. So in learning the history and tradition and learning the why the school was developed and who developed it and for what reason, this kind of builds that bushiki, that samurai spirit that gives you that relationship between you and the arts that you're studying, and that relationship becomes stronger as you go through the levels. And a lot of the things that are taught are a lot of historical ninjutsu stuff or historical Bujutsu stuff, or ninjutsu skills or Bujutsu skills, or things that's kind of historically accurate as you go through the levels. And the reason you learn the history and tradition of these arts is to enhance that samurai spirit, to enhance your relationship with the arts. Where people fail is, like an example, if we say like level 2. You're a yellow belt working orange belt and you want to take the orange belt exam. Well, one of the questions that you have to know is, what are the 6 tools of the ninja? So you would have to say like, well, the 6 tools of the ninja, it's called this. It comes from this particular document written by this person, and the 6 tools of the ninja are this, right? Some people just don't want to learn that stuff. They don't. They're focused more on the physical side. Well, again, when you're trying to make the mind, body, spirit unify, you have to train everything. You have to train the mental part of things, so learning the kata. You have to try the physical part of things, which is the conditioning. And you have to train the spirit, the bushi spirit, the samurai spirit. And that's learning those intricate things about history and tradition and background information of the certain things that we do and why we do it and when they did it and how they did it and for what cause did they do it. And all that needs to take place, and it all kind of molds itself into the training. When people fail, these are the reasons why they fail. They have a lack of discipline. They can't do, they refuse to do what they need to do when they do it. They have a lack of motivation. They're not doing the things they need to do to stay motivated on the task at hand, right? They have a lack of conditioning. They refuse to get themselves in shape. They don't want to work out. They don't want to lift weights. They don't want to do cardio. They don't want to do bag work, or whatever it is. They just have a lack of conditioning, a lack of focus of the kata. So they don't want to learn they do the kata and they know the kata or whatever, but they think once they do the kata once, they have it, and then they never want to refine it after they learn it once, or they pretend that they think they know it once. And any type of critique is just like, almost murder to them, right? So they have a lack of kata. They don't want to really develop kata through repetition. And that's a part of training, is to continue to go through the kata, and years of training, you become better, right? And then there's also the lack of study. They refuse to study the history. They refuse to study the tradition. They don't want to study historical ninjutsu from perspectives maybe outside of our 7 traditions. They don't want to study historical Bujutsu or samurai martial arts and theory outside of our 7 traditions. But it's an important aspect for them to do that, because by doing that, they're enhancing their knowledge, and then it understands why what we do in the realm that we do it. But there's so many people that don't want to do that, and I just never really understood why. And I do know that here at the Budo Ryukai, we do have set requirements, set across the board. We have a curriculum. We stick to the curriculum, you know, so I'm expecting every student to stick to the curriculum. We have rules and guidelines. Every student stick to the rules and guidelines. We have set requirements. Everyone has to do the requirements. There are so many people that think that they don't have to do that, or they think that they can like cheat the system to get a rank, and it's just so ridiculous. And I don't know why people think that. But so if you look at these 5 things, you know, like the lack of discipline, it's very simple to understand what discipline is. Do what you need to do when you need to do it. Stay disciplined, stay on task regardless. Even the days that you're emotionally wrecked, or you're fighting depression, or there's the fear and anxiety, you still get up and do your workouts, you're disciplined. It's a very simple thing to understand. It's not easy to do, right? It's kind of like, and then the lack of motivation. That is a very simple thing to get. It's not easy to do. The problem to stay motivated is you guys got to keep up with what I'm doing. I post things every day on social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, or, you know, the videos on YouTube and all these things. You need to keep up with the daily lessons, keep up with the social media, and that'll keep you motivated. Seeing the things I post every damn day. I don't post it every day for no reason. I do it so you guys can interact with me in the organization. But again, very simple to understand, but it's not easy to do, because it takes discipline to make sure that you're going to be engaged enough to stay motivated, right? Lack of conditioning. Okay, you need to get in shape. Again, very simple to understand, but not easy to do. You have to get your ass in shape. You know, lack of kata. Again, very simple. Do what you learn the technique, do the technique. But you have to refine it. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. I can promise you now that you guys learned the alphabet probably in kindergarten. You learned how to put words together and write your name in 1st grade. And in 2nd grade, you wrote your name, and you've been doing it for 2 years. I can promise you that the way that you write your name on paper now is not the same way that you wrote your name on a paper when you're in 2nd or 3rd grade. The way that you do it now is probably effortless. It is your signature. But back then you still concentrated. And that was after 2 years of you learning how to write your name. 2 years you were writing your name, and look at the way that you signed your name in 3rd grade or 4th grade. Years you learned the alphabet. Years you learned how to write. I bet you your signature is different because you refined the skill. Same thing with kata, you know, but lack of study. People don't want to learn. They don't want to take their time to learn the history and tradition. They just want people to believe that they've learned the history and tradition. And that's just not how it works. I can promise you guys, if you want to be successful in this school, right, as long as you discipline yourself and do what you need to do when you do it, you stay motivated and connected to this organization, you keep up with the social media, you keep up with our videos, you're sitting in your review videos, you're coming to the dojo, you keep the flame lit, you keep that motivation going, you know, you get your ass in shape, you do the workouts that you need to do, you stick to your requirements, you understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're going to go about it, and you make sure that you're in the physical condition that you need to be for the level that you're on. You learn the kata, you accept the critique, you try to make yourself better and refine the physical skills that you're learning within the particular level, and you learn the history and tradition. It's very important that you learn the history and tradition of these arts, the 7 traditions, and all the scrolls and historical texts that we study outside of the 7 traditions. The more that you take in, the better understanding you're going to get of the historical ninja and samurai. Remember this, knowledge is lightweight and you can take it anywhere you go. So learn these traditions, learn the history, learn what we're doing. It's going to make you better at the craft that you are learning. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this particular subject today. The top 5 reasons why students fail with their martial arts training. If you guys are interested in training in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out my website at www.budo-ninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of our schools, the 7 traditions, the areas of training, the philosophies that we teach. If you do not live next to one of our schools, you guys can always join the Budo online ninjutsu dojo and start your training today. So thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo.